I don't even know where to start with this. I've been with my wife, Lisa, for almost 8 years. We were supposed to get married last week. Everything seemed perfect, or at least I thought so. She was beautiful, charming, the kind of woman everyone admired. I felt lucky, honestly. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but I always thought we were solid. That is, until the week of the wedding. Lately, Lisa had been acting weird. She was unusually distant, secretive even. I'd catch her on her phone more often, her eyes darting around, hurriedly closing out windows if I walked into the room. At first, I thought maybe she was just stressed about the wedding, which is normal. But then little things started popping up. She'd take longer showers or disappear for hours without telling me where she was going. She'd also get defensive if I asked about her day or what she was doing. One night, I decided to check her phone. I know, big mistake. But I was feeling suspicious, and honestly, my gut was telling me something was off. I found a series of messages between her and my brother, Jake. They weren't just casual texts, they were flirtatious, intimate even. She was calling him babe and saying stuff like how she couldn't wait to see him again. My stomach dropped. My mind spun. I couldn't believe it. My wife, my best friend's sister. I had trusted her more than anyone, cheating on me during the week we were supposed to be celebrating our marriage. I didn't confront her right away. I sat on it, trying to process what I'd seen. But I was furious, hurt, betrayed. It was one thing to suspect, but to find proof. It felt like my entire world was crumbling. How long had this been going on? Was this why she had been so distant, so cold? The betrayal cut deep, and I knew I had to face her. I had to hear her explain herself, though I already knew what the truth was, or at least I thought I did. The next day, I knew I couldn't keep it to myself any longer. I needed answers, and I needed them now. I found her sitting in the kitchen, sipping coffee, looking way too calm for someone who had just been caught cheating. When I asked her about the messages, her face changed, her eyes widened, and for a split second she looked genuinely surprised. Then she quickly recovered, scoffing and rolling her eyes. "Oh, come on," she said dismissively. "You're overreacting, it's nothing. Jake and I were just friends with benefits, okay? It's not like I love him, it's just sex, it's not a big deal." I stared at her in disbelief. "Not a big deal? You're calling your own husband a liar, and you're telling me this like it's some casual thing. During our wedding week, Lisa, you've been sneaking around for months, haven't you?" She shrugged, brushing her hair back. "Whatever, I don't owe you explanations. You're not exactly perfect either, so don't act all innocent. If you had paid more attention, maybe I wouldn't have needed to look elsewhere." Her words hit me like a punch in the gut. I felt anger bubbling up, but it was mixed with sadness and a strange sense of disappointment. I thought I knew her, but clearly I knew nothing. She tried to brush it off, act like it was just sex and nothing more. But I knew better. That wasn't just sex, that was an affair hidden for months behind my back while I was planning our wedding. I told her I wanted her to leave, that I needed time to think. She scoffed again, rolling her eyes and tossing her coffee cup onto the counter. "You're overreacting. You're just jealous. Jake's just a little fun. It means nothing. You're making a huge deal out of nothing." Her words sounded hollow, and the way she threw them around made me realize how much she was lying. I'd never felt so betrayed in my life. I knew this wasn't going to be easy, but I also knew I couldn't stay with someone who had been hiding such a huge part of her life from me. I felt numb, but inside, I was burning with rage and heartbreak. I couldn't believe I was about to marry someone so selfish, so willing to lie and cheat behind my back without a second thought. The wedding week, which I'd been imagining as the start of our new life, was now just a cruel joke played on me by the woman I loved. After she left the house that evening, I sat alone in the silence, trying to process everything. My mind kept flashing back to the moments I'd seen her sneaking around, the late nights she'd lied about, the way her phone suddenly became her most prized possession. I felt sick, completely shattered emotionally. The love I'd thought was real, the trust I'd built up over nearly a decade, was gone in an instant. It was like someone had torn my chest open and left me bleeding out. I couldn't sleep. Instead, I spent hours digging through her messages, trying to piece together how deep this really went. I found that the affair with Jake had been going on for at least 4 or 5 months, which explained the sudden change in her behavior. She'd been hiding it well, or so I thought. She'd lied to me about where she was, who she was with, Yet behind my back, she was with my brother, the one person I trusted the most aside from her. What made it worse was realizing how callous she was about it. She kept brushing it off, saying it was just sex, like that made everything okay, like it wasn't the biggest betrayal of all. And Jake, my own brother, was just as complicit. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind, so naive. It felt like I had been played for a fool, and now I was left with this raw, aching hurt that refused to go away. I knew I had to confront her again, but this time I was going to do it differently. I'd planned my approach. I wanted her to know exactly how much damage she'd done, how much she had shattered me. I wasn't going to let her keep lying or dismissing it as nothing. But I also knew I had to be careful. I didn't want to explode in anger and do something I'd regret, though honestly I was already close to losing control. That night I started drafting my plan. I'd talk to her face to face, make her see the pain she'd caused. I also started thinking about what I would do afterward, whether I could forgive her or if this was the point of no return. The betrayal was so deep, so brutal that I wasn't sure I'd ever get over it. But I also knew I wasn't going to let her get away with it without consequences. I owed her that much, and I owed myself the truth. The morning after I found out everything, I woke up with a pounding headache, but my mind was sharper than ever. I knew I couldn't keep quiet anymore. I needed to confront her, to hear her lie to my face again, or maybe, just maybe, get some kind of honest answer. The thought of confronting her made my stomach churn, but it also gave me a strange sense of clarity. I couldn't live in this illusion anymore, knowing she had been cheating on me during the week we were supposed to be married. Was the real blow. I waited until she got home from what I assumed was her errands, and when she walked in I could see the look in her eyes. It was the same cold, dismissive look she'd had when I first caught her. I took a deep breath and told her I needed to talk. She rolled her eyes, but she sat down anyway, crossing her arms, trying to look annoyed. "Lisa," I started, voice trembling but controlled. "I know everything. The messages, the affair. How long has this been going on? Don't lie to me now. Just tell me the truth." Her face contorted into a smirk, then she shrugged dismissively. "It's not a big deal. Yeah, Jake and I fucked around, so what? You think you're some perfect guy. You're not. You've been distant for months, so don't come at me like I'm the only one at fault here." I clenched my fists. "Don't try to shift the blame. You've been lying to me, hiding everything. During our wedding week, Lisa, that's when I found out. How could you do this? How could you be so selfish?" She leaned back and rolled her eyes again, her tone dripping with mockery. "Oh, please, you're acting like I was some kind of saint before. You think I'm perfect. You're not exactly a prize either. You're always working, never paying attention to me. I needed something else, okay? I needed excitement. And Jake made me feel alive again. Sex with him was better than with you, I'll tell you that." That was when I saw the coldness in her eyes, the lack of remorse. I felt a mix of fury and sadness swell inside me. The woman I married, the woman I loved, was nothing but a manipulative, selfish liar. I realized I couldn't stay with her anymore, not after this. I told her I was done, that I wanted her gone. I didn't want her near me, near my life, or near my family. I needed space. She scoffed and stood up. "Fine, do whatever you want, but you'll regret throwing me away like this. You're just mad because you got caught. I don't care. I'll be fine without you." That moment I understood that she didn't care at all. She never had. All these years I'd been fooling myself, thinking we had something real. But now everything was clear. I'd been betrayed, humiliated, and used. The worst part was knowing that my brother, someone I trusted, had been part of this, guilty of the same selfishness and betrayal. I felt broken and angry, but I also knew I had to do something, anything, to regain my dignity. I couldn't keep pretending this hadn't happened. The betrayal was too raw, too deep, and it changed everything forever. After she left that day, I was left standing there, feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. The house suddenly felt huge and empty, echoing with all the things I did. I kept replaying her words, her dismissals, her lies. The rage inside me was burning hot, but beneath that there was a hollow ache I couldn't shake. I'd loved her, I'd trusted her, and she had thrown it all away for a meaningless affair with my brother. It was a punch to the gut I couldn't recover from overnight. I started thinking about what I could do next, not just about staying or leaving, but about my own dignity. I knew I had to hit back somehow. I wasn't going to let her walk all over me, not without consequences. I decided I needed proof, something concrete, something that would make her see how badly she'd screwed up, how much she'd destroyed us. I also wanted her to realize that her lies wouldn't hide the truth forever. Over the next couple of days, I began gathering evidence. I found more messages, even some from Jake's wife, who I later found out had no idea about her husband's affair with Lisa. That was a whole other mess I didn't even want to get into. I also started to plan my move, knowing I had to be smart about it. I wasn't going to storm in, yelling and crying. I needed to be calculated and cold. I wanted her to feel like she'd lost control, that her lies were catching up with her. Then, I decided I'd do something that would shake her up. I reached out to a lawyer, started looking into my options for divorce, and thought about what I'd need to do to get proof of her cheating if she tried to deny it later. I also reached out to a few close friends, people I trusted, to get their advice and support. I knew this wasn't just about ending the marriage, it was about reclaiming myself. I didn't want to be the fool she thought I was anymore. The hardest part was knowing the betrayal was permanent. I had loved her, trusted her, and she had thrown it all away for what? A few months of secret sex with my brother. She lied to me for so long, lied about everything. And now, I had to decide how I was going to move forward. Was I going to fight for her, or was I going to walk away and start over? Honestly, I didn't have the answer yet. All I knew was that I couldn't let her get away with it, no matter what the cost. The pain was raw, but it also made me realize I was stronger than I thought. I just had to hold on long enough to see it through. In the days that followed, I put my plan into motion. I confronted her again, not physically, but with all the evidence I had collected. I laid it all out on the table, the messages, the timelines, everything. Her face twisted in rage and disbelief, but I didn't care. I wanted her to understand that I wasn't some naive fool anymore. I was done being played. Her protests, her lies, her attempts to manipulate me, to say she didn't mean it, that it was just sex, that I was overreacting, fell on deaf ears. I saw her for what she really was, a selfish, lying woman who had no regard for me or the vows we took. I told her she needed to leave, to take her betrayal and get out of my life for good. She screamed, called me paranoid, said I was ruining everything, but I wasn't listening anymore. I had already made my decision. I filed for divorce a few days later. It was a painful process, but also a relief. I knew I deserved better than a wife who could betray me so thoroughly. I cut all ties, blocked her number, and distanced myself from the whole mess. I also told my brother that I knew everything, and that, for now, I didn't want anything to do with him either. The trust I once had in our relationship was shattered beyond repair. Over time, I started to rebuild. The initial pain didn't go away overnight, but I learned to accept it. I learned that sometimes life throws you the most brutal betrayals just when you think everything's perfect. And the only thing you can do is pick yourself up, learn from it, and move on. I realized that my happiness wasn't dependent on her anymore. I owed it to myself to heal, to find someone who truly valued me. Looking back, I've come to understand that betrayal cuts deep, but it also reveals who you really are. I learned that standing up for myself, even when it hurts like hell, is the only way to truly move forward. I hope anyone reading this who's going through something similar knows they're not alone. Trust is fragile, and when it's broken, it's hard to fix, but better days are ahead. You just have to believe that, even when everything feels like it's falling apart. And as for me, I'm finally free. That chapter's closed, and I'm working on writing a new one where I'm the only one in charge of my happiness. That's what betrayal taught me. Never let anyone take that away from you.